In this lesson, we're going to cover how to create center marks and center lines inside of a drawing file. The file that I have open is called wholetable.idw, and it can be found in your Chapter 5 exercise folder. I'm going to start by changing the drawing view panel to the annotation panel. And as we scroll on down a little bit, you'll see that we have a set of tools for placing in center marks and center lines. And we'll start off by placing in a center mark. I'm going to zoom up tight. For a center mark, all you need to do is select on the circumference of an arc or a circle, or you can select on the center point itself. It doesn't matter. You'll get the exact same result. I'm going to undo those. And let's take a look at the next tool. It's the center line tool. And for the center line, you can select 2 points, as shown here. Or if you continue to select on another point, you'll actually get the diameter of those points selected. I'm going to press the escape key because that's not exactly what I want in this case. And let's take a look at the center line tool one more time in regards to placing in a diameter. So I'm going to erase what I have on the screen there and reselect the center line. And if I start selecting the points that are going to fall on that diameter, also referred to as a bolt circle, right-click Create, you'll see that it places that bolt circle back in there. I can place in a dimension, or let's place in a diameter dimension. And right-click and change it to a diameter, just like you would expect it to be able to do. So let's undo that. And let's take a look at the next type. And that's going to be a centerline bisector. And let's just pan this up. With a centerline bisector, you're going to select 2 parallel planes. And the centerline will go in between them. If I press the escape key, I can grab these center lines and make them larger or smaller as needed. Let me undo that. And let's place in one more. I can also just select the midpoint of those lines, and they will also get placed right back in there as well. Let's take a look at the last option, and that's going to be center pattern. And what center pattern is going to allow me to do is do the exact same thing with the bolt circle, but by default it's going to ask me to select a center point. And you'll also notice down on the left hand side here, it's prompting me what to do. So in this case, the center. And now I'm going to select the location points that are going to define the diameter. And right click Create. And I have the exact same scenario. I'm going to undo that. And just in case you ever need to do this, I'm going to turn off the visibility of those centered holes, just in case I need to go back and place in a bolt circle in regards to the geometry shown here, but I don't have a hole right in the center. So again, if I come back and do the center pattern, I have an option. If I right click and then from the type, click on free points, I can go back and just select, just like I was able to do with the center line tool, to define the diameter and create. So let's undo that. So those are the manual ways of placing in center lines. There is an automated way. If I move my cursor into that view, right click, there's an automated center lines option. And from the dialog box up on the upper left hand corner, you're going to select the different types of features that you want to have a center line placed on. So as you can see, we have holes, fillets, the cylindrical shapes, that would be circular extrusions, revolves, bends for sheet metal, and punches as well for sheet metal. So in this case, if I also wanted fillets, I would just select on that. The option below here, do we want to place in for the pattern, circular, rectangular, and also sketch geometry. That wasn't actually created as a feature quite yet. And then for the projection method, do we want it to go back and place in geometry center lines for both the planes that would be parallel and plan view to the current selection that we have. So also we can go back and say, do we want to have the work features, yes or no? Down in the section right in the middle, we have the radius threshold. So we can go back and set a minimum for our fillets and circular edges. So in this case, let's say if we had a very, very small hole placed in there, if I placed in a center mark, it could actually take up the space of the hole. You wouldn't be able to see it. And the same with the maximum. If we had a really large circle and we didn't want to have a center line placed on there, we could define its size. And also down here with the arc angle, if I had an arc and the angle, let's say, was like 2 or 3 degrees, I may not necessarily want to have a center mark on there. In this case, I'm just going to take it, click OK, and you'll see that the center lines were automatically placed for me.